Okay, let's dive in. You know that feeling, right?
Which one?
When you're meant to be leaving, like right now, but someone's still figuring out what to wear.
Ah, yes. Or maybe you're that someone staring at the closet, getting nowhere fast.
Exactly. Uh-huh. Well, our source today, it throws us right into that whole whirlwind, that classic pre-going out stress.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how this everyday thing, getting ready, can actually tell us so much
Mm.
about, language, relationship.
Even culture. Yeah, absolutely.
hmm
We're digging into this conversation from Learn English Quickly with podcast on YouTube, episode 15.
English learning conversation. Sounds simple enough.
Right. But our mission here is to go a bit deeper. We want to pull out insights about, well, clothing words, obviously, but also how couples talk when they're rushed.
And maybe even peek at fashion in other places.
Precisely. Think of it like this. We're taking this seemingly simple chat and seeing what bigger ideas are hiding inside. You might be surprised.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How much is packed into just everyday talk, especially about something like clothes.
Okay, so picture this. Dinner party invites are out, the clock's ticking.
Oh, I know this scene.
Yeah, one partner's getting anxious, ready to go. The other is, well, let's just say, taking their sweet time deciding on an outfit.
We're kind of assuming a husband and wife here
Yeah.
based on the dynamic. And yeah, you can feel that familiar tension building.
That pre-party pressure, it's so relatable.
Definitely.
So before we even get to the questionable fashion choices, the source gives us some key vocabulary. First one, iron.
Right, the iron, that heavy thing, but also the verb, to iron your clothes.
Exactly. Getting the wrinkles out. They mention it makes things look nice and put together, which is kind of the goal for a dinner party usually.
Well, yeah, there's often this expectation, isn't there, to look neat, polished. Ironing is part of that ritual, I suppose. It says something about caring how you present yourself.
Then there's sandals.
Ugh, footwear freedom. I like the bit about the friend with claustrophobic feet.
Yeah, that was funny. Needing to let the feet breathe. So sandals are open shoes, good for warm weather, carryable.
And they make a point to distinguish them from flip-flops. The ones that make that noise.
Flip-flop, flip-flop, got it. Different vibe entirely.
That detail about claustrophobic feet, though,
You...
is a great image. And it hints that, personal comfort, even weird preferences, really matters in what we choose to wear.
Okay, now, the big reveal. The husband emerges, ready for judgment.
And the outfit is something.
It is indeed. We've got a striped short sleeve shirt.
Okay.
Underneath a checkered sweater. Finished off with his lucky sandals.
Sandals with a sweater and stripes and checks. Wow.
Yeah. The wife's reaction. Not exactly enthusiastic. She says it's too busy.
Which makes sense. That's a lot of pattern clashing. It sort of violates a basic design idea, right? Keep things balanced. Don't overwhelm the eyes.
Totally. Like wearing all your favorite things at once, maybe? So this leads us nicely into the clothing words. Striped.
Pretty simple one. Lines on clothes. Vertical, horizontal.
Right. And they even add that little fashion tip, vertical strokes might make you look taller or slimmer than horizontal ones.
Language learning and style advice.
Who knew? It connects to how we see things, right? How lines trick the eye.
Exactly.
Then short sleeve shirt and long sleeve shirt. Pretty basic stuff.
Yeah, linked to seasons. Warm weather, short sleeves. Cool weather, long sleeves. Makes sense.
Good context for learning. Okay, next, checkered.
Think checkerboard. Alternating squares.
Got it. Like on the sweater in question. And this is the problem, right? The striped shirt with the checkered sweater.
Mismatched.
Yeah.
Clashing. Visually. Maybe not great. According to the wife, anyway.
Now things get a little more specific. Cut and hemline.
Okay, these often come up with women's clothes, right? The cut is like the style, the shape of a dress, maybe.
And the hemline is just where it ends. Bottom of the skirt, bottom of the shorts.
Exactly. But here, the husband actually uses these words for his shorts.
Which is interesting. And they mention a mother complaining about hemlines being much too high. Some things never change, huh?
Huh. Seems like it. It shows how language adapts, though. People use words to describe whatever they need to, even if it's traditionally used elsewhere. And yeah, tailoring history is different for men's and women's wear, so that probably explains the usual association.
So the wife steps in with suggestions. The rescue mission begins. First step, a silk tie.
Ah, silk. Soft, smooth, often a bit pricey. Sounds like a classic dad gift, maybe.
They mention Father's Day, yeah. And then, to replace the interesting shorts situation, she suggests corduroy pants.
Corduroy. You can almost feel that texture, can't you? Thick, ribbed. Definitely a cooler weather fabric.
Good point. It subtly tells us this whole drama might be happening in, like, autumn or winter.
Yeah, the fabric choice gives us clues. And describing silk and corduroy really uses our senses, which helps lock in the vocabulary.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. This whole scenario, it's also about how couples communicate, isn't it? Especially when things are a little tense.
Definitely.
Yep.
Like when the husband asks, "Do you like the way this looks?"
Yeah, that classic plea for validation, maybe with a little turn, showing it off.
Exactly. You want your partner's okay, their approval. They're often your go-to fashion consultant, like it or not.
And then the wife's line, what am I going to do with you?
Which isn't really asking for advice, is it? It's more like, sigh, here we go again.
Yeah. Expressing frustration, maybe a bit of fondness too, but definitely suggesting she has to step in and fix his style choices. Again.
It hints at the dynamic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe one partner often takes the lead in certain things. You can almost hear the history in that phrase.
Which brings us to fashion sense,
Yeah.
or the lack thereof in this case.
Right. It's that kind of intuition, isn't it? Knowing what goes together, what looks good.
They define it as understanding fashion, knowing how to assemble an outfit, like having a friend with amazing fashion sense. You just know it when you see it.
It involves understanding color, fit, occasion. It seems natural for some, but it's probably a mix of learning and observation too.
And the husband's outfit is basically exhibit A for what happens when fashion sense is maybe missing.
Or just very, very unique.
Yeah.
It highlights how subjective it all is too.
True. So the conversation then zooms out, looks at fashion globally. They talk about runway shows.
Yeah, how those really dramatic, sometimes weird outfits on the catwalk aren't necessarily for everyday wear.
But they influence things, right? Like a testing ground for ideas that eventually show up in stores in a more wearable form.
Exactly. It's like the high concept stuff that designers play with, and then bits of it filter down, setting the tone for the season.
They mention Italy first, known for fashion, right?
Big time. But apparently, everyday Italian style isn't usually super wild. More about classic elegance, good quality materials.
Like that effortless chic idea. Maybe rooted in their history of making beautiful fabrics and clothes.
Could be. Less about fast trends, more about timeless style.
But then, Japan and South Korea.
Yeah, things get more adventurous there, it sounds like, more individual. Crazy bright was the phrase used.
And weird color combos, like red sneakers with green pants. That's a choice.
Definitely memorable. And the story about the super tall platform shoes on young women, it paints a picture of really bold, maybe unconventional styles being embraced.
It really shows how different approaches can be around the world. Some cultures seem to really value that unique self-expression through clothes.
Absolutely. A huge contrast.
Okay, inevitably, they touch on cost. Fashion can be expensive.
Oh, yeah. Designer labels, obviously. Big price tags.
They make a good point. You don't need tons of money to have style.
Right. Secondhand shops get a mention. Developing your own personal look. That's more about creativity, really.
And they briefly mention the fake market, not exactly endorsing it, but acknowledging it exists.
Which highlights that desire people have for the high fashion look, even if they can't afford the real thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, style is definitely more than just labels.
For sure. And then, just to wrap it up, they do a quick audio review of the vocabulary.
Which is helpful, right? Just running through words like sneakers, striped, checkered, corduroy, fashion sense, again, to help it stick.
Solidifies the learning. Good
Yeah.
idea. So, stepping back from the fashion crisis, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, we got some practical clothing vocabulary, definitely.
Yep. But also, that glimpse into couple dynamics, getting ready, seeking approval, the little frustrations.
Super relatable stuff. And then the whole global perspective, how fashion varies so much. Italy versus Japan, for instance.
It's amazing how much you can unpack from just one conversation, isn't it? Language, relationships, culture, all tied up in deciding what to wear to a party.
It really is. It shows those layers are always there, even in simple interactions.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you listening. What do your own getting ready habits say about you?
Ooh, good question. Are you a planner? Or more of a last-minute grab-and-go person?
And thinking bigger, how do those different fashion approaches, we talked about the Italian elegance versus the Japanese boldness, how might they reflect deeper cultural values?
Yeah, what does fashion mean in different places? Definitely something to think about next time you're staring into your own closet.
Or maybe reflecting on your own fashion wins and fails.
We've all had those. But they often tell a story, don't they? About who we are, how we see ourselves, and how we connect with the world around us.